I'm Roy, 35 years with my head under blue ovals, and around the shop they just call me Mr. Ford. Now let me tell you something about that blue and yellow can sitting on your shelf. Every single tech I've ever worked next to has one in his box. It's in every bay in every dealership in this country, and yet somehow, the service counter never seems to mention it to you. Because a $6 can that frees your stuck fuel door doesn't show up on a repair order, and a shop makes its money replacing parts, not spraying them. So I'm not saying anybody's crooked. I'm saying the flat rate world rewards replacing, and it doesn't reward the little fix. That's the game. And look, plenty of good, honest shops will tell you the truth when you ask. But the system they work in pays them to swap parts, and nobody's getting a bonus for handing you a $6 can and sending you home happy. So the knowledge just quietly doesn't travel. That's what I'm here to fix. And today I'm handing you the little fixes. But I'm going to be straight with you the whole way. Because here's the part the internet gets dead wrong. WD-40 is not the miracle cure-all they make it out to be. Used right, it earns its spot in a Ford owner's garage 10 times over. Used wrong, in one particular spot I'll get to, it'll cost you a real repair. So stick with me to the end, grab a pen, and let's get into what this can do, and the one thing it must never touch. First, let's clear up what the stuff even is, because most folks have it backwards, and honestly, I did too for a lot of years. WD-40 stands for water displacement, 40th formula. That's the whole story right there in the name. It was built to push water off of metal. It's a light solvent and a moisture displacer first, and only a light, temporary lubricant second. It is not a grease. It does not stay put. Spray it on a hinge, and in a few weeks it's evaporated off, and that hinge is dry again. Once you understand that, it's a water chaser and a loosener, not a long-term lube. You'll know exactly when to reach for it and when to put it down. So let me give you the real ones. The first real use, and the one that'll save you the most cussing: a stuck, rusted bolt or nut. That seized battery hold down, the corroded bolt on a skid plate, a rusted-on license plate screw, a bleeder that won't budge. Give it a good soak, walk away, let it sit 10 or 15 minutes, hit it again, then try it. That penetrating action breaks the rust bond and saves you a snapped bolt or a rounded head. Now I'll be fair with you, because I'm not going to oversell it. On a really badly seized fastener, a dedicated penetrating oil, the kind made just for rust, will beat WD-40 every time. But for the everyday stuck bolt, the can on your shelf does the job. Easy check, big payoff, and it's saved more knuckles than I can count. Here's one that feels like magic and is pure science. A Ford that runs rough or won't fire in wet, damp weather. That's the original job this stuff was invented for. Moisture creeps into your ignition connections, your coil, an older distributor cap, and it shorts out the spark. A light mist to displace that water can dry it right out and get you running. Now, on a newer Ford with coil on plug, I'd be sparing and careful around the electronics, but on the older blue ovals in a lot of your driveways, this is the classic damp morning save. That's literally what the 40 formulas were chasing back in 1953. And let me give you the one technique that makes all of this work better, because most folks use it wrong. Less is more, and patience beats pressure. Use the little red straw for anything tight so you hit the spot and not the whole area. Give it time to soak in and do its work. A stuck bolt wants 10 or 15 minutes, not 10 seconds. And whatever you're spraying, wipe up the runoff so it's not dripping down onto your brakes or your driveway. Drowning something in it doesn't make it work any better. It just makes a mess and empties the can twice as fast. Next one, and this will make your truck look 10 years younger for about $1 of product. Bug splatter, road tar, tree sap, and that baked-on grime the car wash won't touch. Spray a little on a rag, lay it on the spot, give it a minute, and wipe. It lifts tar and sap off your paint and glass without you scrubbing a hole in the finish. One fair warning so I keep you out of trouble. Don't let it sit on the paint all day, and wash the area with soap and water afterward and throw a little wax back on, because it is a solvent and it'll cut your wax right off where you used it. Used that way though? Best tar remover most folks already own. Same idea, different headache. Old adhesive and sticker gunk. That crusty dealer badge somebody stuck on your tailgate. The 20-year-old parking permit welded to your windshield. The residue left behind when you peel a decal. A little WD-40, a couple minutes, and it wipes away clean. Doable with a rag and patience. No scraper gouging your glass. Here's one the dealer really won't bring up. A sticky or squeaky latch. Your hood latch that fights you. The fuel door hinge that groans. A seat track that drags. A tailgate hinge on an old F-150 that squeals down the whole street. A quick shot frees it up and quiets it down. Now remember what I told you. It's temporary. It'll need doing again. So for a hinge you want lasting, follow up later with white lithium grease. But to unstick something today and stop the noise today, it's right there. Rust protection is another honest one. A light film on bare, exposed metal keeps the flash rust off. Your trailer hitch that lives out in the weather, exposed bolt heads, the metal tools in your truck box, a battery hold down. It's a short-term shield. And I want to be clear, it's short-term. For long-haul corrosion protection, you'd step up to a real corrosion inhibitor or grease. But to get you through a wet season without surface rust creeping in, a wipe down does the trick. Here's a set that matters if you tow, and every truck owner should know these. That trailer hitch ball and the pin that holds your receiver rust and seize, sitting out in the weather until the day you need them and can't budge them. A shot a couple times a season keeps the ball clean and the pin sliding, and it'll free a coupler that's rusted stiff so it drops onto the ball like it should. And if you drive a truck, here's the one that'll save you on the worst possible day. The spare tire hoist under the bed. On a lot of Fords, that cable and the crank mechanism sit under there rusting for years, and the day you get a flat is the day you find out it's seized solid and won't lower the spare. Get under there now. Spray that mechanism and the cable good. Work it up and down a few times and keep it moving. Because a spare you can't get down is the same as no spare at all. And I've seen too many folks stranded on a shoulder right next to a truck carrying a perfectly good tire they can't reach. Another one folks forget. A squeaky sway bar bushing. Or a leaf spring that groans every time you back out of the driveway. A quick mist quiets it. Now I'll be honest with you the way I promised. That's a temporary fix. And because it's a light oil, it'll attract road dust, and you'll be doing it again. So if the noise keeps coming back, those bushings are worn and want replacing. But to stop the whole neighborhood groan today, it works. Here's a winter and mud one truck people love. A light coat on the inside of your wheel wells, your tailgate, or the bed keeps snow and mud from caking and freezing on. And the same trick on a snow shovel or a mower deck means the wet stuff slides right off instead of building up. It's that water displacement thing doing its job again. Nothing sticks well to a surface that's shedding water. And one more quick cosmetic one, light surface rust and haze on a chrome bumper or trim. A little on a rag lifts the freckles and leaves the chrome protected for a while, 10 minutes, and it makes an old truck look cared for. And a winter one to round out the good list. A frozen or sticky door lock, or ice creeping into a latch. A little shot displaces the water and thaws it out enough to work. I'll give you the honest crossover here though. For the lock cylinder itself, over the long run, powdered graphite is the better answer, because oil in a lock eventually grabs dust and gums up. But to get a frozen lock open on a January morning, the can wins. Circling back to that battery for a second, since it comes up a lot. After you've cleaned the corrosion off your terminals, some folks like a light mist to chase the last of the moisture off before they reconnect. That's a fine quick step. But don't mistake it for the seal. It won't hold corrosion off for months the way a proper dab of dielectric grease or a felt washer will. Displace the moisture with the can if you like, then seal it with the grease. Right tool, right step. You can use it inside the cabin too, carefully. A little on a rag pulls crayon, scuff marks, and old sticker gunk off your hard door panels and plastic trim. I say carefully because you never want it on your cloth seats or slick on a surface you touch to drive and you wipe it down after. But for that black scuff on a door sill or gum welded in a cup holder, it lifts it right out. Now, before I get to the warning, let me kill one piece of nonsense right here, because it leads people wrong every day. WD-40 is not an engine degreaser, and you should not stand there hosing down your whole engine bay with it. It's a solvent, sure, but it's also flammable, so you never spray it around a hot engine. And even cold, it leaves behind a light film that grabs dust and turns your engine bay into a lint trap. For a greasy engine, you want a proper degreaser made for the job. Use the can for the spot fix, not the whole bay. Now, here's the turn, and I need you to really hear this part, because this is the whole reason I made this video, instead of just letting the internet tell you WD-40 fixes everything. There is one place you must never spray it, and the internet pushes it constantly. Your serpentine belt. That's the long-ribbed belt snaking around the front of your engine that drives your alternator, your water pump, your power steering. When it starts to squeal, half the videos online tell you to hit it with a shot of WD-40 and the noise goes away. And it does go away. For a little while. And that is exactly the trap. WD-40 is petroleum-based, and petroleum makes rubber swell, glaze, and rot. So you haven't fixed a thing. You've hidden the warning and you've started killing the belt. Worse, that squeal was your Ford trying to tell you something real. A worn belt, a failing tensioner, or a pulley that's out of line. Quiet it with a spray and you drive right past the diagnosis until that belt lets go on the highway. And when it goes, you lose your charging, your power steering, and your cooling, all at once. I've had them towed in exactly that way. Owner tells me the belt had a little squeak for a month. Somebody told him to spray it, the noise went away, and he forgot about it. Then one afternoon, the tensioner bearing that was screaming the whole time finally seizes, throws the belt, and now he's sitting on the shoulder with a battery light glowing, a temperature gauge climbing, and a steering wheel that just went stiff as a board. All of it from a $6 can used in the one place it doesn't belong. That squeak was never the enemy. That squeak was the cheapest warning he was ever going to get, and the spray took it away from him. So here's what I'd do instead. Treat the squeal as information, and have the belt and tensioner looked at. If a belt genuinely needs help, there's a proper belt dressing made for it, or you replace it. But the cure-all can stays away from that belt. Same goes, while I'm at it, for your brakes. Never near the rotors or pads, for reasons I shouldn't have to explain. And not as a conditioner on your rubber weather stripping, because that same petroleum that rots a belt will dry out your door seals. Silicone spray is what those seals want. And that right there is the lesson under all of this. A Ford doesn't owe you anything you didn't put into it. A $6 can used with a little judgment is some of the cheapest insurance in your garage. The same can use to paper over a warning sign is how a cheap noise turns into an expensive tow. The tool's not the problem. Knowing where it belongs is the whole job. So let me leave you with the honest counterweight, because I'd rather you have the right can for the right job than think one blue bottle does everything. For anything you want to stay lubricated, a hinge, a latch, a slide, white lithium grease. For rubber and weather stripping, silicone. For a lock cylinder, dry graphite. For a truly seized, rusted bolt, a dedicated penetrating oil. And for sealing a cleaned battery terminal against corrosion, dielectric grease. 5 cheap cans and tubes, and between them and your WD-40, there's almost nothing on a Ford you can't quiet, free, clean, or protect for a few dollars instead of a few hundred. And since we're being honest, let me knock down the other WD-40 myths the internet keeps pushing, so you don't waste your money or hurt your truck. Spraying it in your gas tank does not clean your fuel system. It is not a fuel treatment, and it does not belong in there. Wiping it on your tires for that wet shine? Don't. It can leave the sidewall slick, it collects dust, and there are proper tire dressings that won't do either. Using it as a permanent fix for a corroded electrical connector? It'll displace moisture for a day, but it is not a lasting repair. Clean the connection right and seal it. And dousing your spark plugs or coils in it and calling the misfire fixed? That's drying out the moisture, which is a diagnosis, not a cure. If it keeps coming back, you've got a real ignition problem to chase. The can is honest about what it is, if you are. It's a water chaser and a loosener. Ask it to be a grease, a fuel additive, or a permanent repair, and it'll let you down every single time. And one last honest word, since we touched brakes and belts. This is general information from an old tech, not professional advice for your specific truck. So check your own vehicle and lean on a trusted shop when it's a safety part. Now I want to hear from you. What's your Ford? How many miles is on it? And what's the one thing that can of WD-40 has gotten you out of over the years? And if I missed your favorite use, or if you want to fight me on the belt, come on, the comments are open. Drop it below. I read every one, and half of what I know, I learned from owners just like you, the good and the ugly. Look after your blue oval, and it'll look after you. I'm Roy, I'll see you in the next one.